We got it. Here we go. We're going on to KUMAIL Nanjiani has something to say about the Eternals, particularly why it failed.
Oh,
Did it fail?
Horribly.
All right, let's take a look. Here we go.
That movie was going to be like really, really well reviewed. You had like legends, Salma Hayek, you had Angelina Jolie, you had new people who were amazing. And they sent us on a big like global tour promoting the movie when that movie came out. And the reviews weren't good.
And you were aware of it while you were on tour?
Yeah, I was too aware of it. That was very, very tough for me. How does it take so much money to make something that looks like shit? So much money's wasted. Not very much of it has to do with the actual quality of the movie. And that's when I was like, some shit's got to change.
I still think at some point people are going to like rewatch that movie and realize that there's a lot more to it than they gave it credit for.
Marvel thought.
Okay. Look, I like Eternals more than most people do. And I'll say the reason, look, it never should have been a Marvel movie. Eternals should have been like the comic book, its own thing. When I was collecting Eternals, it was Jack Kirby. It was separate from the Marvel universe. It was just a story that, that they gave to Kirby, and they gave him, and they made it. And I felt like the movie should have been the same way.
Oh,
because
so when you know the lore, you cite the comic book.
No,
but when I bring
look, this movie has nothing to do with the lore. What I liked about the movie was it had something to say on the subject of love. Each character in this movie expressed or dealt with love in very different ways, whether it was erotic love, familial love, platonic love, love. That's to me what this was. And if you and this movie would have been a great indie sci-fi movie, but the mistake was it was a Marvel movie. And the audiences don't appreciate indie sci-fi movies like I appreciate indie sci-fi movies. And that's what we got here. And I think that's why most people hated it, because it wasn't what they expected. And it was exploring topics in a way that would just, you kind of needed to be slapped in the face a few times to say, okay, you get it? You get what's going on here? But having said that, what do you think of what he said? And then I'll tell you what I think about what he had to say.
Well, I think it was one of the first examples where they race and gender swapped an already diverse group of men and women. They made the Asian dude Indian, they made the black dude, like they switched everyone around, even though it didn't need to be switching. And of course, it was the famous like, this movie's going to save lives type of. It did not help the talking around. It was at the height of them ruining everything. It was after, so yeah, I think it was sort of set up to fail.
Yeah, I remember at the D23 before this movie came out, they brought out the entire cast, and it was a spectacle. I mean, you had Angelina Jolie on stage, you had Salma Hayek on stage, and this was back then when you could just grab a whole bunch of celebrities, throw them on stage, and we're just gonna drool all over it and hand you our money. And it was this movie that realized, no, you can put a whole lot of stars on stage, and we're not going to hand you our money. Because I think what KUMAIL is doing here is what I've been saying about the industry for the past few months. They're learning all the wrong lessons. If they can't understand why the movie failed and what was wrong with it, and feeling like you had this message you had that you wanted to tell everybody, and failed to get that message across, it comes down to that damn script and that damn story. That's why this movie failed. If you had a better script, a better story, this movie should at least done a lot more than it did.
Yeah, it's also kind of preachy, and you know how it gets. Like, I want to be entertained and not preached to. And if you do it in a preachy way, it has to be like, well, it's there, inherent to the story, the message, as opposed to hit you in the face with it, like you say, slap you in the face. Like, you get it? You understand what we're saying? They've lost a lot of that subtlety across the board.
Yeah, and people didn't get it. I mean, I don't think this was as preachy as, say the Marvels or some of the other ones. Like I said, I think it explored themes that you would find in an indie sci-fi movie, and
exactly what nerds are Marvel fans are known for, indie sci-fi. But yeah, like it's This is kind of one of those things of like, I don't think Kevin had shit planned out either. Like, I think he's a charlatan from the beginning, that he was using some good creators that all had plans. And I'll even include James as one of them because he was supposed to do the cosmic. And once the people with plans left, we just threw anything that stuck.
Right.
And unfortunately, because of the political, social, economic, whatever the hell times, it was just so much DEI and all the stuff suffered.
Yeah. Well, also, I'll go back to the whole indie sci-fi thing. Movie was written and directed by Chloe Zhao, who is an indie filmmaker. Yeah. And she brought her indie sensibilities to a mega budget superhero film. And it didn't work. This was a time where Feige was going after Taika Waititi, Chloe Zhao, Destin Cretton.
Destin Danyon.
Danyon
doing Spider-Man. Daniel Cretton. Yeah, Destin Cretton.
Yeah, Cretton. I think you look at all the people involved in Marvel movies up until that point. They're legit A-list directors, stars, writers, and so on. And then all of a sudden after Endgame, it's like, well, let's give indie filmmakers a chance. And as much as I love the fact that indie filmmakers are getting a chance, they were not ready for it. And Feige had no way to shepherd or mentor these people into turning them into a mega billion-dollar,
right. But then why that, right? Because this was the height, and you were covering it over at Disney Animation. These are a bunch of people that were casted as directors, not because they were, and I'm going to include Nia DaCosta and the guys that did Miss Marvel, that I'm like, we show up, most of the shit's already written or done. Right. We're not allowed to make any changes, and it becomes apparent that we're just here because of our skin color
hands off
and our
special
names.
Effects. We'll take care of that,
and we'll take care of that too. And so essentially, you are literally just diversity hires that then take all the failings. To this day, we've still got them saying, "Well, it wasn't my fault. It was this, and this," and a lot of that might actually be true. They did a disservice. Disney, the killer of dreams, I believe, is what that was. It's kind of accurate.
Yeah. Well, and it also shows what happened when Kevin Feige fired everybody around him who was mentoring him, who was helping him. The creative committee. To me, when I heard the creative committee was gone, I kind of saw that as the first domino to fall. To where Kevin Feige is now a silo amongst himself, maybe with Louis D'Esposito.
Correct.
There's just no one there to challenge him to say, and their disdain for comic books, period, also says a lot about where.
And that's the main takeaway from everything Bo DeMeo has said, that it is the disdain for comic books, that you started hearing them tell their actors, don't read the source material because we wouldn't want you to get confused with what we're doing. And then, just make it fun. Just make it fun. We don't care about the lore or the people. And that's not a correct way to make. You can't hate the things you're adapting. That just doesn't work.
Yeah. No, and there used to be a thing where you make movies for your audience. If you make it for your audience, they'll come out and they'll give you their money.
Right. But what they did, and this is the Kathleen Kennedy, is we already have those people. Yeah. We don't need to make Galaxy's Edge look like the original movies. They're going to come anyway. We need to make it look like our stuff.
Yeah. We just need to call it Star Wars. And they'll come.
And they'll come. But
the lemmings that they are.
It turns out we're not so fucking stupid. Some of us were, but a lot of us wised up to what's happening.
Look, the sequels made a lot of money. Nia DaCosta. What the hell was that? Nia DaCosta says her 28 years later sequel has something the Marvels didn't. A really solid script. Wow. Badger, do we have a story on that one?
We do. Nia DaCosta gives insight to why the Marvels failed. Disney's handling of the Marvels fallout has left Nia DaCosta openly pushing back against the studio's scapegoating. After the film bombed, losing an estimated $300 million and going down as the MCU's most disastrous outing to date, stories leaked blaming DaCosta's inexperience and supposed disengagement on set. It was classic scapegoating. Now, 2 years later at the Edinburgh Film Festival, DaCosta contrasted that experience with her new projects. Speaking about Danny Boyle, she described it as one of the best filmmaking experiences I've had, praising Garland's script. Alex Garland hands you a script and you're like, this is amazing. You don't really have to change it, although I did. I basically asked for more infected. That was like my big contribution. Her comments also highlighted the root of the Marvel's struggles. DaCosta has consistently said that the movie released was not the one she intended. There was a certain point when I was like, okay, this isn't going to be the movie that I pitched, or even the first version of the movie that I shot. She further admitted that script issues plagued both Candyman and the Marvels. The lack of a really solid script is always going to just wreak havoc on the whole process. Ultimately, while Marvel's chewed up and spit out DaCosta, her new work suggests she's regaining creative freedom.
Yeah, I believe this story. I believe what she has to say. B, it's sad. I think the Marvels really hurt her. Realizing that a big budget movie is coming out, a lot of hype surrounding it, and it sucks, and you know it, and you realize that what you had in mind going in and what came out were two completely different things. And this just goes back to the what we were just talking about with Chloe Zhao, is Kevin Feige doesn't, for some reason, Disney decided that they need to skimp on some things while put a lot of money into other things. And they decided to skimp on creative and put money into their actors and put money into reshooting and fixing mistakes. And, again, back to the theme of it's good to have a script. Badger, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know. Even Kevin said that, like, well, that's just always how we've done it. It's that Marvel magic where you just film without a finished script. And I think that all goes down to obviously the first Iron Man, because RDJ and Jeff Bridges, John Favreau were shooting on the day. But it's like
they're writing the dialogue the day of shooting
and doing each other's scenes to play. But you can't do, not everyone can get away with that seat of your pants. And I think by this point they had long since fallen into formula and a little bit of maybe arrogance of like, oh, we got the people there. They'll just watch whatever we put out. This movie was probably made for a bunch of different reasons. One, because Kevin always said he wanted more female heroes than men. It had the heavy BLM at the time, so it had women of color. It's the stupid fake Bechdel test where there's women talking to other women, written by a woman, directed, but it hit all the things at the time, and unfortunately it failed because it hit all the things at the time. So I finally just watched this now. I got guilted in my chat. It's kind of fun.
Watch the Marvels.
Yeah, I kind of watched it. It's kind of fun. The best part about it was Kamala Khan. Real sweet. Yeah. Nice. I'm shocked that we got her as a person, but yeah, no, it's what they said. This is some shit we would put out on Disney Plus. And
here's one thing about Kamala Khan. She's an easy character to write for. You have an enthusiastic actor, and you have a fairly, I don't know, her powers were suspect, but the character itself. I
apologize to Brie. She was a lot less insufferable in that second one. I think by that point she was well aware of the criticism of her. So I don't know.
Yeah, I hated the fact that I hated the fact that Captain Marvel was in a loveless marriage with an Asian man.
It's horrible representation. She should have been so well taken care of.
I know. Yeah, and then you mentioned Iron Man. The thing about Iron Man is you at least had creative geniuses behind it. John Favreau and I think Robert Downey Jr. at that time was well invested in that character. We learned about the writing style of that movie from Jeff Bridges when he was on the Howard Stern show, and he called it crazy, something he had never done. I think it's one of those, as much as the movie was a success, you'd still never want to make your movie that way. Yet that's the model they chose.
Yeah, you can't continue that. But as you said, they seem completely fine. And I think it was a couple people mentioned, it's like they forgot how to shoot movies and television. They never knew how to shoot television, and they tried to shoot the television the way they did the movies. But even the way they shot the movies is, you can't sustain. I understand a couple months of reshoots, maybe. But the 2, 3, 4, 5 that they were getting into and reshooting whole movies,
and then the money put into it, and then and then going back to Nia DaCosta, now her name's attached to it, to this garbage.
She's lucky she didn't end up in director jail.
She is.
Because I say that Danny Boyle took a chance on her for this second, Interna movie. He must see something.
Yeah, well, and if you hand her a great script, if she screws it up, then we know where she is. But like she says, sometimes when you're handed a great script, it just directs itself.
Yeah, and this isn't a unique. This is a Disney problem, because you see it in Lucasfilm too, with like Deborah Chow. Sorry, my Asians. Deborah Chow with Kenobi. It was like, that was the wrong person to put on that. these big tent pole, heavy effect, big actors.
Well, and the script again, the script had problems.
Yes.
Breaking
Yes.
so much. How much lore did it break?
All the lore.
All
I
the
don't even have to point it out anymore. It's just Disney Star Wars. That's its own.
What's your favorite Star Wars? All the Star Wars.
I love all the Star Wars.
What's your favorite lore? All the lore.
Yeah. Again, you just got to get people that love these projects, because when they do, like Fallout, no matter what you think, it seems very apparent he actually does love the lore, and that's all I need.